Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Paps, a rising VTuber and an artist. And today we're going to be continuing working on some sketches that we had started in May that I wanted to digitize a little bit. I actually have quite a few of these, but I wanted to kind of bump up into priorities. Good old Cypress, my friend Cypress, also called Sepulchretide, who is having an endurance stream marathon 3-day extravaganza, I suppose is the best way to put it, starting tomorrow. So please join her tomorrow. I will. She'll probably show up at some point. If she doesn't, I'm still gonna shout her out. I'm gonna find some way to direct people towards her. Quite frankly, I'm doing fuck all this weekend, so your time is going to be well spent if you go attend her stream. All right. Yeah. Let's get started on this one. So for this one, I think the pose is actually pretty good. I don't think it's like sets where I was struggling a little bit with the proportions of it. I don't know, maybe the head's a little big. Maybe we can shrink that head down just a little bit. God. My jaw hurts a little bit today. Not because I've been doing anything particularly strenuous, but well, no, that's not strictly speaking true. So, I had a dentist appointment today, and one thing about me, is that if I make an appointment, I will remember the appointment. I won't always remember what the appointment is for, and this is especially true for things like medical appointments. So I got checked into the dentist's office, and the attendant there was like, "Oh yeah, Impabs, right? You're here for your filling?" And I'm like, "Oh, I thought we were just doing a normal cleanup today." So it turns out my dentist had actually scheduled me for a filling. So he filled me. He he used a drill, and he used those little like numbing agents and everything, and he got me a filling. And I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I've lost the plot of my own life a little bit. I don't know. It was quite strange. I was actually wondering what I was gonna have for dinner, but now I guess I'm just having like bread or something, so I don't damage the tooth or anything. I know that the modern modern filling technology is pretty advanced, so you can honestly just start eating a couple hours after you've gotten the filling. I'm trying to be a little bit conservative and not eat anything too tough or like crunchy or anything. I ended up getting myself a couple of these pretzel bites, which are like soft pretzels. They're not like crunchy pretzels. They're soft pretzels, but they are small. So it was pretty much perfect for me because then I could very easily manage just eating one at a time. Pretzel bites, those are very strange to me. I feel like you could really elevate them if instead of like salt based, you made them with cinnamon and sugar. But I do have a vital personal weakness to like cinnamon sugar Auntie Anne's, and also I've been craving something with cinnamon sugar in it recently for a little while. I don't know. Maybe it's the alignments. I did actually end up making pretzel bites myself not too long ago. I used to have a friend over pretty frequently, and he occasionally I'd like show him how to cook certain things, or like I'd be cooking something and he would be there assisting. And it was nice. I like that a lot. It was a lot of fun just like sharing the process of making food with someone else. I helped my mom out in the kitchen a couple times here and there, so I don't have that issue that some people have where like they get really, really stressed if somebody else is in the kitchen with them. I will say that I understand those people, and I feel like the people who have that specific issue are probably people who are really, really good at cooking. It's the same reason why like some like chess masters need like absolute silence while they play or something. They need to be. I don't know. On the other hand, it would be really funny if someone's just like completely mid at cooking, but they also just demand absolute peace and tranquility and silence. I don't know. I think that that's a pretty funny concept. Just the idea of I'm trying to look at her reference picture. I'm trying to triangulate the size of certain things. I'm going to go with what my heart tells me and try and take a closer look at what's in the reference. It's important to follow your instincts for these sorts of things. Got it. Every time I say the word like instinct or like operating on instinct and whatnot, I remember I think somebody made like a parody tweet. I'm not sure. I don't remember what specific thing it was about, but it was like the Solid Snake Boys. I think it was about like fighting game stuff. Like, I don't know what frame data is, and I don't care. I operate on instinct, or something like that. And honestly, that's just been my de facto reaction to whenever I don't want to think deeply about like my own process for doing something. I'm sure there are people who approach it through more complicated means, or have more analytical approaches to a lot of the same things that I do. I wouldn't be surprised if the way that I do it is actually fairly rudimentary compared to a lot of other people. But yeah, just I operate on instinct. That's how it goes sometimes. I feel like that's a lot of what being self-taught is about. Like, eventually you end up getting good enough that you can kind of wing it. I don't know. Today, actually, I saw this art piece from Ninomai Inanis, a Hololive YouTuber, and it was this very beautiful painting she'd done of herself as a little buglet from... I keep calling them a buglet now, ever since I called them that on Zed's stream. I called it that. I called the vessel that. I think its name is the vessel now, right? I've seen people refer to it as such. But yeah, I've seen people. I call the vessel like the equivalent of like a bug manlet, so a buglet. And now that's just kind of my de facto name for it. The shoulder seems to be at a weird angle. Hang on, I think the fur is throwing me off a little bit. Or actually, you know what it might be? Hang on. I think I know what it might be. I think I just need to bring this all a tiny bit... No, but it looks right from here, though. So it's definitely the chest that's causing the issue, right? Okay. Okay. Then over here. Yeah, I think that might have been it. I think I just needed to redo the chest a little bit. Okay, so then that... You know what would help, I think? I think it would help if I try to approach it from like an X-ray perspective even. Okay. Yeah, because if we say that the shoulder is like this, right? Then that means that the arm would connect around here and the rest of the chest would kind of like droop off around here. And depending on how big we make the boobs... I don't know. I'm not an expert on this sort of thing. I don't have much experience with this. I'll need to follow my heart. Gonna need to eyeball it. God. But yeah, I was talking earlier. I was talking about the art that Ina made, right? And she made this drawing of the Buglet from Hollow Knight, and she said that she actually like lost the process. She doesn't know how she drew like that anymore. Like she doesn't understand what brushes she used or the methods she implemented to draw like that. But she did also clarify that with the knowledge of color theory that she's gained over time and everything else, she understands now how she would like make those choices consciously. Because apparently, like when she made that art, she was really operating off of instinct. And let me see if I can actually pull up the tweet. Let's see here. Yeah, 2021 Ina was built different because there's so many pieces I drew that I see and I go, how did I draw that? What brushes did you use, 2021 Ina? Jokes aside, I am more capable of recreating what's in my head onto the canvas compared to before. What I did by instinct in the past is much easier to recreate now after studying color theory. It is interesting how that can happen, right? I don't know. I feel like I haven't really gotten... I don't know, maybe I haven't advanced enough. I don't know. I feel like my art, the quality that my art progressed is very, very steady. I don't think there is a specific period where I can point to that's like, oh yeah, no, this was a growth period for me. This is like radically different. Like it does look different, but it looks reasonably different for like a year's difference. That or maybe I just have really good recall for my own actions and thought process at the time of the drawing. It probably also factors into it that I don't really revisit a lot of my old art. I should probably start doing that more often. I feel like one of my issues is that I don't evaluate the past enough. I feel like I don't have a good enough system for reviewing my own performance in terms of the art I've made. Then again, I am kind of goated at it, so there's no use in proving on perfection. Braggadocio aside, it is vital to understand how far you've come in different regards, and understanding why you chose the things you chose, why what you might be dissatisfied about, what you can do to improve those things. That's just kind of the cycle that takes place, isn't it? Oh yeah. If you're spending today playing Silk Song, I'd just like to say you're welcome. I did that, by the way. I made that happen when I started playing Hollow Knight like 4 weeks ago. Okay. So she does have a lot of ear fluff. That's something I should bear in mind. Oh wait, okay, so this ear. Alright, hang on. I need to make this ear bigger and also spikier from the back. There we go. That feels good. Okay, yeah. Oh, wait, no, but we do need to put the ear... Hang on. We need to put the ear, like, over here. Marvelous. Okay. You know, the more I've become, the older I've gotten, the more I've got taken to saying things like fabulous or marvelous or things like that. I don't know. I feel like I've aged out of the right group to say, oh, that looks tight, that looks sick, that looks epic. I don't think I've dusted off the that looks epic in like years. I feel like it's run its course a little bit. We need to let epic as an adjective kind of age gracefully in a barrel and recharge its kind of viability as slang. We need to. How long has How I Met Your Mother been off the air? Hang on, this is actually vital information for my own theory. How I Met Your Mother. Wait, no. How I Met Your Mother. The guy from How I Met Your Mother guys' thing was legendary, wasn't it? Okay, so 2005 to 2014. Okay, so 10 years have already passed since the last episode of How I Met Your Mother aired. Okay, good. That means that there has been like a 10-year moratorium. I do feel like now people can say that's absolutely legendary and not have like comparisons to the guy from How I Met Your Mother brought up. 10 years, I think, is like a good cooling off period for whatever's going on with that. 5 years is a little too soon. 5 years is definitely like supposed to be sort of a throwback feeling, I feel. That's like doing Gangnam Style in 2019, you know? It's like it's too soon to make it funny again. You know, it just feels outdated when you do it in 2019. Back in 2025 though, I feel like now we have the appropriate maturity to bring back Gangnam Style and not make it weird. I think the world's ready for Gangnam Style too, quite frankly. Okay, so we're going to add the little blush spot here once we're in the coloring phase, so I'm not going to worry about that just yet. Okay, so this is going to go... Okay, her jacket has almost like a double breast, I think? No, collar. That'll be the collar part. I'm gonna add a little dimple here. That's gonna be the kind of tag on the back of the jacket. I feel like that's a good touch. Have I shown you all this one hat that I haven't been able to stop thinking about ever since I saw it on eBay Jackets and Hats, the Twitter account? Hang on. Let me pull that up real quick. There's like, it was this hat that said like built by love. Hang on. Here we go. It's like a weightlifter's hat, right? I don't know. There's something about it that I really like, but I also feel like you could substitute love for any other funny things. But I don't know. I really like the sentiment of this in terms of just bodybuilding. God, I finally finished transcribing that one VTuber's platform growth advice stream from last week. It took me a few days, but I finally got there. And let me tell you, when he started talking about the potential for search engine optimization, he said that as a VTuber, right? The thing is, as VTubers, our main sources of exposure are through social media, because a lot of what we do is effectively building a community, right? That is the kind of goal and purpose of a lot of our activities, is to engage with an audience and to build a community. And the thing is, right, what search engine optimization does is, if let's say somebody was to Google online, right? If somebody were to go on the Google or on DuckDuckGo or what have you, if they looked up Ricebag VTuber, and I had been doing search engine optimization correctly, my name and my account in some way or form would form one of the very first hits for that web search. And that's fine. That's fine, but the thing is, like, nobody... Can you think of a single person who's, like, Googling Ricebag VTuber and isn't, like, taking the piss, so to speak? Like, if somebody's Googling, like, such and such VTuber, it feels less so that they're looking for VTubers to look to join as an audience member, and more so just, like, as a novelty. And that's not a bad thing necessarily, you know. This is a very novel medium, and we're all, you know, we're all having fun. We're all having goofs and laughs and joy and whatnot, right? But I will say that there was like a certain bloodlust in his voice when he was talking about search engine optimization. And this was like after he clarified that, yeah, no, as VTubers, we're not really going to rely on that. But like, it was very clear that he had a lot of interest in the topic. And for what it's worth, I do know that the topic of search engine optimization is very, very deep. Quite honestly, it does feel like... hearing that somebody's going to start learning about search engine optimization does feel a lot like the equivalent of like threshing wheat in like the medieval era, right? And hearing your buddy who is like a dumbass who... he's not a bad person necessarily, but he does feel like he's a little bit directionless, and he does earnestly believe that he's just doing something wrong, but he doesn't and that's the reason why he's dissatisfied with his life. And it's like that guy tells you, you know what, I should become an alchemist. That's a lot of what the vibe of like learning search engine optimization is to me, because it does feel a lot like you are praying to a uncaring God, that what you do actually has an effect. And I'm sure there is a genuine science behind it, and I'm sure some people can influence it, but it does feel like it's a lot of work for limited payoff in a lot of cases, unless you're trying to make like a brick and mortar business, I suppose. You know, you could say like, we're the... I don't know, what's a random city name? We're come on, bro, name one city. We're like Shanghai's #1 roof tiler or something. There's like so many cities that I've lived in and been to. Why the fuck did I say Shanghai? Why did it take me that long? Oh god. Maybe that filling took more out of me than it actually filled. All right. But yeah, if you're trying to like make a brick and mortar or a local business, and you know that what you do is kind of niche maybe, or people might be looking for you specifically, I feel like search engine optimization helps a lot in that regard. Like if you're trying to be the go-to person for like a specific zone or area, in that case, I feel like being search engine optimized is probably well worth the effort, because then any old schmuck could like Google something like, I don't know, glass cleaners in fucking Toronto, right? And if you've been doing search engine optimization stuff, you should be able to show up as the first hit, and that would be very useful. It is so funny trying to approach the go-to person for a specific zone. We call those guys robot masters or video game bosses. God. It is crazy to think that the robot masters were like 90%. Also, hi, Cypress. But yeah, it's crazy to think that robot masters were just like 90% normal as construction robots. Like, what imagine like you were like, there was like construction outside your house, and all of a sudden the Caterpillar road roller that they've been using to flatten out the road was suddenly trying to run people over of its own volition. I think this is what Maximum Overdrive is about, but I don't really care about that movie or book. I don't know. Maximum Overdrive there's a very specific genre. Was Maximum Overdrive a Stephen King joint? Hang on. I need to verify this real quick. Maximum Overdrive. A group of people try to survive when machines start to come to life and become homicidal. I'm gonna pull this up real quick, just so that it's out there for everyone to see and can really stink up the room. 5.4 out of 10 on IMDb. 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. Director Stephen King. Oh yeah, this movie is dog shit. Stephen King loves to ride vehicles coming to life to kill people. He does love that. Maximum Overdrive was theatrically released on July 25th, 1986, to critical and commercial failure. Nominated for 2 Golden Raspberry Awards, including Worst Director for King and Worst Actor for Estevez in 1987, but both lost to Prince for Under the Cherry Moon. How fucking awful was Under the Cherry Moon, then? King disowned the film, describing it as a moron movie and considered the process a learning experience, after which he intended to never direct again. He was like, alright, you know what? Never let me cook again. Never fucking let me cook again. Y'all saw what happened when I tried to cook with film. Never let it happen again. Oh god. Trucks is a short story by Stephen King, first published in June 1973 issue of Cavalier magazine, later collected in 1978 collection Night Shift. Okay. Okay. Hang on. The story has been adapted into 2 films. In 1986, it was adapted for cinema with the King-directed Maximum Overdrive, which King himself described as a critical and financial flop. In 1997, so almost 11 years later, it was adapted again as a TV movie, Trucks, starring Timothy Blusfield, Brenda Back, and Brendan Fletcher, which Video Business called mindless, but well executed and barely boring. With the fiery action King's fans no doubt want to see. Christ. Yeah, let me get the critical reception scores for that. 2 out of 4 stars. Very little critical attention outside of independent internet blogs. Oh god, they try to fucking hit this thing with the defibrillator and shit when to make it work. To be fair, I feel like nowadays this concept would be almost too heavy-handed as an allegory for like smart homes and whatnot. I don't think you could make trucks today, right? I think the idea of using trucks as a focal point in a story and as a narrative kind of peaked with Lemon Demon's efforts and contributions towards the body of work. When you need a TV movie to fill in some time and figure you can at least do better than Stephen King at directing. Hi, Adept. Genuinely, it is... It's so fascinating to see just like how dog shit everybody agreed it was. Nobody wanted to bat for it. None of the actors were like, you know what? No, there are some defensible parts about it. I enjoyed performing in it. No, there was nothing like that. King wasn't like, you know what? I appreciate it as a learning opportunity. No, he was like, never let me cook again. This movie was so mid, nobody wanted anything to do with it or its concept for at least 11 years. I don't know. There is worse things you could do to fill in TV movies. The kind of spectrum of TV movies, of made for TV movies, ranges from the most inoffensively time wasting drivel you could imagine to things that are genuinely kind of peak. Disney Channel original movies, honestly, you know, for all of the flack that they deservedly get, I do think that a lot of them were heartfelt attempts to tell some kind of story. Has anybody seen Food Boy? The Adventures of Food Boy, or whatever the fuck that movie is called? That guy could straight up make pasta out of his palms. And I don't know. I feel like Food Boy is a touching allegory for, like, I guess it would be puberty. I don't know, actually. I feel like the allegory for puberty could have been any number of things rather than just making food. I don't know. I think we're starting to run out of allegorical coming of age material. We're starting to like we started scraping the bottom of the barrel a long time ago, but we've recently gotten some of the mojo back. For what it's worth, I am absolutely shocked that the Japanese animated movie Your Name wasn't used more for, like, transgender allegorical purposes. Like, from what I understand, it is very much like the final boss of a feature film length head slop, but, like, I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something there. All I know about Your Name is that it involves two people swapping bodies, and it's a boy and a girl. And I was hoping that there might be some allegorical transgender things in there, but there's nothing. It's bone dry. They salted the mine with a shotgun and gold flakes, and nothing came of it. God, that is such an interesting feature of like Gold Rush era shit. Is the idea and practice of salting gold mines. Genuinely, some dude would just, like, load a shotgun shell with gold flakes, hit a wall with it, and be like, "Yep, there's a gold in these here hills." And I guess I'm not sure what the next step would be after that, though, because, like, either one, you would sell the hills in question to some random schmuck in the hopes that he'd be stupid enough to buy them from you at a high price. Hi, Sentai. Or, like, surely you wouldn't start digging in those holes yourself, knowing that the gold is not there. So I guess the right move would be to pawn it off on someone else. I don't know. It's a lot to think about, actually. I feel so fascinated. I feel like the next thing that I'm going to get really into is going to be, like, the dynamics of, like, Gold Rush era townships. For example, I learned the other day, right? I was looking at this poem called The Cremation of Sam McGee. I don't remember the author's name off the top of my head. I could look that up quickly in just a minute. There's a shit ton of them. Mm-hmm. No, I do imagine it's a field with a lot of depth. I was going to trade them hills to a guy who said he has a bridge to sell me. God. You end up buying the bridge. You should check out the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. It's an anthology set in the American West, and one of them is a gold mining story. Interesting. Let me have that in an open tab somewhere. That reminds me of when I watched what was that one movie called? A Million Ways to Die in the West, I think it was called. Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, 2014 film directed by Seth MacFarlane. God damn it, I should have known. But yeah, I watched A Million Ways to Die in the West on like an airplane screen, and I was really excited by the title because I assumed it would be like a morbid discussion. I would have been 14 at this time, by the way. I was excited by the movie because I assumed it would be like some kind of moribund discussion of mortality rates in the Old West. And it was to some extent. But no, it was mostly this like story about some loser hypochondriac worrying about the ways he might die and also defeating a bandit, I guess. It was just a very typical bandits are here Wild West story. Not much to it. Alright. But yeah, that does sound interesting, honestly. I feel like I should become an anthology story guy, honestly. I feel like the idea of the older I get, the more the idea of loosely connected but still thematically relevant stories has become to me. Like, yes, bro, give me variations on a theme. I don't know. I think as a kid, I might have just been a little bit too dim to understand the concept of anthology stuff because I feel like I was a very straightforward child. I would literally play the game. Yes, give me themes. Give me that literary analysis for real. God. But yeah, I was a very straightforward kid, and like I would play the first game in a series, no matter how old it was. Like if I had, for whatever reason, decided to start playing Metal Gear Solid, I would have literally started with Metal Gear, the first game for like the PSX, or the computer or whatever the fuck. Like I remember being like, "Wow, I really like Mario. I should play the Mario game." And I literally started from Super Mario, or like the very first Mario game for the NES. And like, I don't think I understood until like much later that you don't actually need to do all that. It did lead me to some fascinating getting back to basics for real. Straight fundamentals, no funny business. It did lead me to some interesting pathways, though. Like, I did end up watching the very first Mad Max movie, although I was very zoned out for a lot of it because I assumed it would be a lot more like the latter two Mad Max movies. I assumed Mad Max 1 would be a lot like Mad Max 2 and 3. And so because of this, I was just like almost nodding myself to sleep in this like like Australian gangster chase sequence. Asking a modern Mario fan, hey, what game should I start with? And they respond with some obscure port on the GBA. That literally happened the other day with Briar recommending the GBA port of Daikatana. I feel like that happens for a lot of other things, too. I feel like that's... I don't know. I feel like there is at least one more series I can think of. I can't recall it off the top of my head. But I do know that there are at least a couple of series where some people are like, you know what, nah, if you want to experience the ultimate way to... If you want the ultimate experience and the ultimate version of this specific bit of media, go play this PlayStation 3 port that was released in 2009, 3 months before the PlayStation 3 was discontinued, and only has like one crappy English patch. The gameplay is peak. I will say that if somebody does have that much investment into it, I am almost always halfway tempted to actually check out the thing. Right? Like, I feel like I would hear the Mario fan out on the obscure GBA port. I don't know. It depends a little bit. I guess on the game in question. Like, for example, I do think I would tell somebody who wanted to play Ghost Trick and was like, you know what, I want to know what like Ghost Trick is all about. Brother, I have a dead Japanese arcade fighter that was from PS3 store exclusive. Oh my god! Wait, you probably do. Wait, do you like actually have that? That's awesome. Wait, which fighter is it? Which fighter is it? Drop the name. I do. It's sitting on my computer right now. Awesome. Please tell me you have the name. Please, please, please. I need to Google this thing. Oh wow, I made that shoe really big. Also, I need to make the legs longer. One moment. Take your time. Take your time. Thank you for indulging me. That's awesome. I really like that, honestly. You're doing your part for game preservation. Dark Awake. Hang on, let me Google this shit. Dark Awake PS3. Chaos Breakers Dark Awake Fighters Generation. Here we go. Oh, yeah. The king has no name. Oh, yeah. Actually, this one looks kind of cool, honestly. I don't know. I wasn't fully sold on some of the designs. Holy shit. Okay, whenever you have a dude running around in like a metal loincloth, that's how you know there's some real sauce in the game. Holy shit, look at this Conan the Barbarian looking dude. Oh wow, that outfit leaves very little to the imagination. How many characters does this have? Oh my god, okay, so 18 characters total. That's really good, honestly. That's a healthy roster. Oh, and it's like a tag fighter, too. Damn, that's crazy. Characters. Ramda, Sandra, Elian, Fina, Evetta. The King has no name. Running on Taito's Type X arcade board, Chaos Breaker is a fantasy-themed, sprite-based 2D fighting game developed by Eolith and released exclusively in Japanese arcades. The PS3 version released in Japan under its pre-production name, Dark Awake, The King Has No Name. The character designs in the game look to be straight out of Dungeons & Dragons of the World or the World of Warcraft realm, featuring a mix of weapon users, elves, orcs, and magicians. I like that they use elves, orcs, weapon users, and magicians like weapon users are like a different species. More like Dark Woke, the king has pronouns. Boom, got him. Hi, Ryan. I'm pretty sure that's gonna be the twist ending to Hollow Knight once I get there. You know, they already dropped the We're Not the Hollow Knight twist. What if the king is... What if the real reason the Pale King went into seclusion was to ruminate on their identity? Rolling up to a no-name Japanese arcade in a local cabinet, King challenges me to break Chaos Breaker. That would be some... I feel like that's the B plot. Holy shit, look at this guy. A no-name Japanese arcade in a local cabinet, King challenges me to Chaos Breaker. I feel like that's the B plot to like a sitcom episode where the characters all go to Japan for like 30 minutes. What were you doing? What were you doing? They're very confused about what I was doing. I don't think these characters are particularly bright. Okay, so the Conan-looking dude is called Ramda. More screenshots. Don't mind if I do. Oh my god! How is she somehow wearing less than the guy in metal loincloth? What's up? My body is trembling. That's a crazy thing to say! I seem to avoid the worst. Very typical thing for a dwarf to say, quite honestly. It's the dawn of a new age. These renders feel very Camelot-esque. I could see that. I seem to avoid the worst. The two dwarves are of the same mind. We seem to avoid the worst. Yeah, that's what teamwork is all about. Turning I seem to avoid the worst into we seem to avoid the worst. Tank man! Tank man! I do like that it is the dwarf, I think. That seems to be the dwarf siege cannon is the best character in the game. Why? Because it's a fucking tank compared to like everybody else who's like slinging around magic missile and waving around a sword. Oh my god. Just like Waku Waku 7, the tank is busted. What makes it busted specifically, though? I am curious to know. Yeah. Why is this guy just screaming? This guy... This is so funny. I am the top. Yeah, okay, buddy. God, it can just armor through everything? That's terrifying. And who's the bottom of the relationship? Presumably whoever he's talking to. Saving this game in my back pocket. This is some... it's like you could taste the... It's like when you take a shot of bourbon and you can like taste the cherry wood in the barrel used to age it. It's like, this is some primo dog shit. God. Why did you start looking at this anyway? We were talking about the... Okay, so... We were talking, I think, about the... kind of pathway to recommendation. Yeah. Yeah, Pearl's Ballad. Yeah, this is a remake of the ink drawing from May. I guess remake is the best way to put it, isn't it? I wanted to get this in time for the Endurathon. We brought up obscure games and then led to the PS3. The revamp, correct. Yeah, no, wait, now I remember. I was talking about how I had a tendency to really, like, insist to myself to play from the very first game in a series, if the game was a series, when I was a kid. So, like, if I wanted to... You know, I liked Mario, for example, so I was like, I should play the very first Mario game, so I could understand the context of the and development of the series, I guess. And I did that, and I immediately got washed because I was like 7 years old, and Mario is a surprisingly difficult game. Also, I was playing on a keyboard, and I'm not sure that was helping matters. I don't know how much that affected the outcome, but I'm sure it couldn't have helped. And yeah, then I was meaning to ask, for our segment, are we going to have talk PNGs? Because if so, I think it'd be funny if you guys had your normal PNGs, but with masks of your characters on them. Oh, that'd be really cute, actually. Yeah, like you know, in anime when they go to a summer festival and some kid is like wearing half of like a Kamen Rider mask on his head, like it's like posed on his head at a jaunty angle. That could be all of us. I was gonna use whatever default PNGs you had set up for reactive. Ah. I mean, if we want to realize this whole mask business, I mean, I don't know. It does feel a little bit late in the game to start adding anything, but if we have the ambition, the will to do it, and we think it'll look cool, I am more than happy to pitch in and to help. You know, I'm sure we can find a way to make it happen. That'd be really fun, but again, it's important to not let the scope get out of hand whenever you're arranging projects, right? Okay, so we're gonna put these here. If y'all feel up for it, 3 days away is an awful short time. I need to set up my thing on that site you were telling me about, Babs. Oh, Fugitech. Yeah. Yeah, that's easy though. You can literally sign into it with Discord, and it'll have that shit ready for you. I mean, you can literally just use your current ones with the mask slapped on. We could literally just make mask PNGs and use those as like sources in OBS. That is true. There's not exactly a whole lot we would need. Actually, there is... Ryan, you made the... What do you call the, like, masks and... Well, not masks. Like, the icons that we use for Roll20, right? Could we maybe co-opt those for the masks? My new player character for my basketball game. 3 Pabs stacked on top of each other in a trench coat. God. I can't ball for shit, so I'm not sure how much multiplying myself would really give you an advantage, unfair or otherwise. So honestly, I think you should let it rock. I don't know. There was this thing that I did. It pissed my friend off so fucking bad. Paps plus Tool is a sufficient height, I think. That is true. I do feel like Tool would probably have to be the head of the tower though, because I feel like if I don't know, your shorts would get wet for sure if you have like Tool as the base of the tower, right? Like the bucket water all slushing around and shit. It wouldn't be very. It'd be a little bit difficult to arrange. Also, one cheek is far wider than the other one. Here, I need to correct for that. Okay, and then... Oh yeah, I was talking about this thing that I used to do to piss off my friend a lot. I think I don't remember if she played volleyball specifically, but I do think she played basketball for a little while. Like she was interested in learning how to play basketball. So what we would do is that we would go to like a basketball court that was in our schoolyard that had, you know, there was like a small basketball court. There were some hoops that were set up so you could practice, right? And she would throw the ball normally, but what I would do is that I would be posed up somewhere around here, and I would like full send, just like launch the basketball at the hoop, not in like the way you're supposed to do it, but it would be like almost like a direct line towards the hoop, and the ball would like bounce off. I would be able to catch it again. And I just kept doing that for like a minute straight, and she got so fucking mad at me. It's like Waka shooting the blitzball to kill a monster. It's exactly like Waka shooting the blitzball to kill a monster. I've never played Final Fantasy X, but I've seen that guy punt his ball at a creature. But yeah, just imagine that in a cycle over and over, making the worst, most confidence racket you could imagine. I was actually thinking earlier today how I would manage to, you know, speaking of like Fortnite height, I was actually thinking how my model would work in like a fighting game, because I'm very short. So unless everybody else was chibified somehow, I would have to find some way to stack up to everybody else. So the best thing that I could come up with is that I would be, you know how I have like that giant pen tablet in my going live announcement? I would be just like posed up Monkey Kung Fu style on the tablet pen, just hanging off of it. You'd have to be Neko art character with smaller hurt boxes. Oh, that would also be the same. You would rock the Lego mode at least? I would. I should get... You know, some people have the dream to be a an idol. Some people have the dream to like have the concert at a Budokan or something. I have a dream to someday be marketable enough to get my own Lego merch line. You could be scaled up a little. I feel like you'd be Teddy from P4AU size. That would be terrifying. That would be so scary though. Like, could you imagine if like there was like a normal okay, like there was another person, right, who was also in the fighting game, right? You know, I don't know. Let's pose her up like this. She has a sword, right? The $158 Pabs Lego playset. I don't care if I have to fucking. I was gonna say pirate it like that. Like you can pirate a Lego set. I don't care if I have to like DIY that shit with a plastic printer. I will find a way. Some iconic locales. I could try to make more of a location out of my bedroom. We have been streaming from this in nondescript cutting mat with a paper background for a long time, actually. But yeah, could you imagine like if I was like human height with my proportions? Could you imagine how fucking terrifying that would be? I would have to be like the default big body grappler. Like dead ass, I would be like if that was the solution we were going with, I would have to be the big body grappler. The boat? Oh god, we could do the boat from the auction, couldn't we? Come to think of it. Kiri hits you with a big vending machine. Yeah, I'm one of the Yakuza big body enemies. My job is to stand over in a hallway with a big chair, and then when Kiryu comes up to me, he can do a heat action, and that will disguise the stage loading screen from the player. Fortnite patch notes: grappling is now available only for Pabs. Only for Pabs to make it sound like I'm some kind of game console. Wasn't that actually a game, actually? Tabs, like Totally Accurate Battle Simulator? Rumbleverse integration, but our Pabs only. That would be such a cruel monkey's paw twist of fate. I'd be like, monkey's paw, make Rumbleverse come back, and like the monkey's paw would curl, and I would get into Fortnite, and I would have to represent myself in Fortnite, and I would have the Rumbleverse moveset, but that's the only way it came back. That would be dog shit. That would suck. Sewing a Nintendo Swatch onto your back. God. Honestly, I do feel like I am probably like the perfect size to have a screen on my back or something. I don't know. I could be like one of those airplane TVs that are there for like flights that are longer than 3 hours. I could very easily imagine somebody just like manhandling me to check their inventory and shit on the screen. And then chucking me away once they're finished checking their inventory. I don't know, I feel like I have a lot of dignity, but I can't deny that I'm a very chuckable person. You know, I have far too much dignity and panache to permit myself to be chucked. But I will admit that I am a very chuckable person. You could be the ball here. Maybe not today. I did just get some fillings done, so I feel like getting turned into the basketball would kind of knock those loose. And I paid like I paid some money for those, so I'd rather not lose them so quickly. It is disturbing statements that summon the Mario Sunshine Chucksters. God. I do have like minimized Mario sort of proportions, don't I? considering it more carefully. God. Something that I hadn't noticed before when I got my fillings done in other times is that, also, pardon me if this is a little graphic, when they drill your teeth, it smells a little bit like burnt hair. I don't know, I never noticed that before and it's disturbing. I don't like when one body part reminds me of another. God, I'll never forget the first time I smelled burnt hair because I remember that it was because I think it was my dad or my brother was like messing around with a candle that we were using for I think for the novena, which is a Christmas ritual, right? And they were like, oh yeah, check this out, and they put the hair over the high heat of the candle and it like curled up. How do you guys know this? Have you never burnt hair? Okay, wait, no, I forgot that. I forgot that. Now explaining how I learned what burnt hair smells like, I understand why it sounds a little bit insane that I know how it smells like, because most people don't regularly light candles in their home in the practice of like a Catholic ritual. Or have family that are willing to like pluck a hair out and burn it on the candle so you learn what it smells like. So you know what? My bad. Never mind. Well, also that, and I didn't know drilling teeth had a smell. I mean, they numb your jaws, but they don't numb your nose. You can it kind of wafts a little bit, you know? Also, I forgot what the lines on a basketball looks like. Sadly, further evidence that I do not know ball. I know ball in a spiritual way. I know ball metaphorically. I understand ball as a concept. I don't know the intricacies of ball. I don't know. I feel like the ball is very much like the Tao Te Ching ones, that once you understand it or like once you try to grasp it, you will lose it. Like you will, like if you try to pursue knowledge of ball, you will one day lose that knowledge. Okay, then over here we're gonna do this. I never actually played the Super Mario Sunshine. Are chucksters as big of a problem as they're made out to be? They say ball of life, which means you don't fundamentally understand the meaning of life. I mean, show me the man who understands the fundamental meaning of life, though. Demonstrate to me. Bring him out here. Bring out the man who knows the meaning of life. Show me the man. They're some of the more frustrating levels. Oh, that's good to know. The chucks are sort of like in one secret stage, and they are required to be interacted with for the stage. Oh, okay, interesting. That actually makes a lot of sense, though, because that also explains why they're so memorable. If they're just like a commonplace, if they're just like a sideways attraction, then the phrase "I'm the chuckster" is pretty funny, but it's not. It wouldn't be like meme worthy. But if they're here to fuck you over in that one specific level, that is like a meme. That is a meme, I fear. I understand now their notoriety. Okay. I loved. I will say that one of my favorite pastimes was that whenever I had access to a basketball, I would like trace my fingers along the edge of the kind of gum parts holding the flaps together. I remember that was a lot of fun for me. Very fun tactile sensation. I love I don't play a lot of sports, but I love the tactile sensation that a lot of their paraphernalia has. I don't know, just visiting a sports store and like feeling the heft of like a baseball or one of the other random tchotchkes that are lying around feels really good. Okay. There we go. Here we go. Elite ball knowledge squirrel. Squirrel of elite ball knowledge. I'm gonna drink some water. That being said, I do sympathize a lot with the kind of notoriety of the secret stages in Super Mario Sunshine. Because I remember some of the secret I got to some of the secret stages in Super Mario Galaxy when I played it. And I remember those were fucked. Like, I genuinely felt like somebody had made those stages with hatred in their heart. Okay, yeah, you need to use a Chuckster to also get an overworld shine, but that's not even required. And it's not like you die if he misses. That is kind of funny as a phrase to use. It's not like you die if he misses. That sounds like the internal logic to Mario about to get chucked. Like Mario's just like thinking to him inside of his head in Italian, like, well, it's not like I'll die if he misses. And then like going for it and being like, okay, chuck me. You will die if they miss in the secret stage, though. Oh yeah, naturally. That makes plenty of sense to me. Listen, you don't get to the secret stage by fucking doing dog with a big lollipop and a propeller hat type shit. If you're in the secret stage, you need to be prepared to fucking face the consequences of your actions. You need to be able to roll with the big dogs. If you're in the fucking secret stage. But yeah, no. I feel like platforming is a super unique genre because unlike a lot of other genres, I shouldn't make generalizations. I'm not like a super huge platformer guy by any means. Although I am now currently playing one of the most notoriously fun platformers of the generation as we speak. But like, I do feel like platformer developers or games where platforming is a big element have this very specific type of bullying that they enact. Like, it's not with cruelty. No, there is cruelty sometimes. But like there's no it is malicious, but it is also malicious in a specific way. It's malicious in such a way that you understand that a different person, someone who was better at the game, could clutch this jump. Like, there's no RNG involved. Generally, there's no RNG involved. There's no kind of like additional unfairness to it. It's just you, your own capabilities, and God in that secret stage. And I think that creates a very sort of hostile approach. I don't know. Mean platforming stages feel like they're some kind of angry drill sergeant who just doesn't want me to die when I step onto the battlefield. Like mean shooter stages feel like they're genuine, like the whoever developed. Like I remember fucking Barrels of Fun or the Shaft or whatever they call it in Doom 2, right? I remember those levels, and I remember wanting to beat Santa Peterson to death with my own two hands in Minecraft for that shit, right? Like I very much held a lot of resentment in my heart for what they made me go through in those stages. But I don't know, like in like Super, like if it's in Mario or some shit though, I feel like there is that feeling that it is up to you. Like they can absolutely make it very demanding, but it does feel like you're not getting screwed over randomly. At least for the most part. There are of course exceptions to this. God. Secret stages in Sunshine are like going from 0 to 100 because not only is your helpful jumping tool taken, but you're also entering an area with a bottomless pit in the sequel to the game with like 4 areas with bottomless pits. That is pretty funny. It's more a knowledge of the physics until a bug happens for the game from 20 years ago. Oh yeah, that would piss me off big time actually, come to think of it. On the other hand, sometimes those bugs are how you can skip those areas. So, you know, the bugs giveth and the bugs taketh away. I've seen some of the shit they get up to in GDQ. I saw what they did to fucking Dracula X. The bugs usually taketh. That does suck. God. I remember it is really funny that I seem to have enough computer mana that like I never have the issues that a lot of people talk about. Like don't get me wrong, right? Like New Vegas for example. Don't get me wrong, New Vegas has crashed on me before. It'll crash on me again, it feels like at some point. But I've never had the issue where everybody's like, "Oh, New Vegas crashes all the time unless you install like 50 billion stability mods." Ugh. Like that's never happened for me. I've never had that issue before in my life. So I don't know. It might be an issue of like technology mana. Watch me say this and somehow soft lock myself out of finishing Hollow Knight. I don't know. I feel like Hollow Knight is a pretty stable game, but I have no doubt in my mind you could somehow fuck yourself into a soft lock state. I'm gonna expand this section here. God, Silksong is out there in the world right now. Isn't that crazy to think about? Past almost like 10 plus years, we've just been making fun of like people who are Silksong truthers, and now they're the ones laughing. Must be. I hope it's refreshing for them. I genuinely hope the game is everything they were waiting for. They have suffered insane style for waiting for that game. 2018 Hollow Knight, your shade would spawn inside walls, and you could pogo on pretty much any vertical surface if you hit it at the right angle. So yeah, you could easily soft lock at launch. God bless. Thank God. I don't know. I feel like they're. I don't know. It does. It's very inspiring that Hollow Knight, which is like the indie game darling of all time, did have that kind of growing pains phase. You know? Sounds terrible. They should have canceled Silk Song for that. Hashtag take Silk Song offline. God. It is really funny that so many people wanted a piece of bug action that they somehow managed to crash Steam, which I didn't know was a thing that could happen. I don't know. I'm always generally impressed whenever some shit like that happens because I just generally assume that most websites, like, given just the leaps and bounds we've made in website latency improvements, I'm just impressed that websites can crash at all nowadays. You could have phrased that differently. I said it the way I said it, and I don't remember the way I said it. You're just gonna have to live with the way I said it. But yeah, like the last time I remember hearing a website crashing from sheer traffic was fucking Homestuck shit. During the era of like Homestuck uploads, like Cascade crashing Newgrounds or something like that. And even then, that shit was unprecedented because nobody. It was like, yeah, no, it's Newgrounds, it's YouTube. Well, they didn't crash YouTube actually. I think that's the specific reason they actually chose YouTube for the final act. Me going outside to look at an anthill. Yeah, I'm here to see the bug action. I haven't seen an anthill in ages. I don't know. I feel like I should probably go look for an anthill at some point. Especially now that summertime is ending. I feel like I'm running out of time to go look at an anthill if I really wanted to. You seen the Ant Bully? Yeah, a lot. I was really into that movie growing up for whatever reason. I think it's because I didn't fully understand English yet, so a lot of the jokes went over my head, and I could just pay attention to the animation. Which, granted, in retrospect, does look a little bit ugly, but you know, which animation doesn't sometimes? Nice, daps you up. The Ant Bully is just very much a DreamWorks film. You know, retrospectively, I don't think there's anything particularly noble or ignoble about it. Sad that movie killed the studio. Okay, so maybe it wasn't the DreamWorks joint. Who made the fucking who made the Ant Bully? The Ant Bully 2006, produced by Legendary Pictures and DNA Productions. Okay, hang on. Wait. Hang on. No. Okay, no. The Legendary Pictures is still around, so it'd be DNA Productions. Let's take a look at this. Defunct in 2006. Oh my god. Hang on. DNA Productions was an American animation studio and production company in Irving, Texas. Founded in 1987, the studio originally worked on miscellaneous projects for other companies, including commercials and corporate videos, before branching out to television and film animation. This was a Jimmy Neutron? Oh my god, it was! Oh my god, these guys made all of the other reindeer. My friend loves that movie. Oh my god, it was the Jimmy Neutron guys. Holy shit. Oh, fuck. DNA's final film project was The Ant Bully, also released in 2006. Alright, hang on. Okay, yada yada yada. DNA partnered with Playtone, Warner Brothers Pictures, and Legendary Pictures to produce The Ant Bully, a 2006 animated film loosely based on the 1999 children's book of the same name. Film received mixed reviews and was a box office failure, only grossing $5.2 million against a $50 million budget. Second feature film and its final project. At the time of the film's release, DNA had 250 workers and no future projects aligned to generate further revenue. He and Alcorn did not set out to build such a large company and felt the time was right to shut down and move on after The Ant Bully. Helix the cat was DNA's original mascot until 2002. While Jimmy Neutron series was in production, David sought to replace Helix with a new studio mascot, a mutant three-eyed chimpanzee who would appear in DNA's animated production logo at the end of each episode. I remember that! That freaked me out so fucking bad. The new mascot was named Paul after DNA employee Paul Clairhout, who joined the company in 1990. Clairhout also provided the voice for Paul, who says, "Hi, I'm Paul," in each logo shot. That's crazy. How special must Paul have been to like... God. How dare you let Jimmy Neutron die, you fucking ant movie. God. Just I'm imagining some fucking Nickelodeon exec doing like the fucking Gendo Ikari pose, like their hands clasped in front of them, devious style. Like, this is what happens when you fuck with the Nickelodeon company. Like instead of petting like those really fluffy white cats that evil villains have, they're petting like a plushie of SpongeBob. Nickelodeon is pretty much all SpongeBob nowadays, right? I remember that somebody once talked about how they went to Nickelodeon Studios on a tour, and the whole place just felt like a shrine to Dora the Explorer and SpongeBob SquarePants. On that Spider-Man game gif of him just walking brooding while shit's going on in the background thinking about the death of DNA Studios. God. Generally do not know any modern Nick cartoons besides SpongeBob. There might not be any. I think Sponge Me Boy might be the last bastion. Oh wait, no. Wait, I was gonna say, aren't they doing like a new Avatar project at some point? But that's not Nickelodeon, is it? That's gonna be like some other shit. So yeah, what does Nickelodeon have going for it except SpongeBob? I mean, don't get it twisted. SpongeBob, a man can live on SpongeBob alone. Like the revenues generated from that little squarish freakazoid who loves working and loves his job and has great hair and enjoys life to the fullest extent is plenty, but like that can't be good for your animation studio, right? Like I at my job, right? I've been working on the same client for the past few years, and I've gotten really good at doing work for that client, but I do feel like I am slowly losing my soul every single year that I had to repeat the cycle. Genuinely 21st century Mickey Mouse. I feel like, yeah, you know what? You are right. I think you're onto something with that analogy. That being said, I do also think that, oh wow, the jacket's blending almost perfectly into the background gray that I use. I guess I could use like a dark green for the background for a minute. There we go. It is funny to think about, right? SpongeBob really is that guy in terms of just animation longevity. Like, he's been around for fucking ages. I think the only kind of real presence that hasn't beat is technically that one Japanese cartoon that's been running since like the 1960s. What was it called? Zasai-san or something like that. Like, that's the only one that I can think of that's been running for as long as SpongeBob. Well, no, it's not like SpongeBob is particularly ancient. There is probably at least a couple of them running around that are older than SpongeBob, but SpongeBob definitely had the biggest impact. Like, most people know who SpongeBob is, to some extent. People have a vague understanding of SpongeBob. You ask anybody who was born in the last 20 years who lives in a pineapple under the sea, and they'll be able to answer that shit lickety-split. Very influential rectangular creature. He lives in a pineapple. He under the sea. Are you jokester? I will say I forgot a lot of the content of that post. I remember now actually. Like they were like talking to the designer of Jigglypuff, who was like this very buff Russian dude who looked like the Heavy from TF2, and it was like, why did you call it Jigglypuff? And it's like, it's Jiggly, he's tough. Are you jokester? And then they like sent him through the ceiling like that one regular show bit. It is crazy how certain what do you call, like, phrases far outlive the post's lifespan. Like, I swear to God, I haven't seen that post in literal years, but I still recall it fondly. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though. It's good to have some variety. I don't know. It's good for things to run their course. If you let things linger on for too long, it'll eventually end up mutating into something that it never was supposed to be. Okay, let's see. Gonna go for like light blue for the shorts. Yeah, we can use the same blue for this part here. Okay. Perfect. Maybe not that particular shade of blue. I'm trying to make... Actually, could we use like a yellowish for the socks? Not bad, but I'm not sure if that works. Maybe just like a very dull white. Yeah, I think that's good. I don't know. What colors would go well with like this outfit in terms of kicks? I know we should probably make the base of the shoes pure white. I wonder if we could probably shift it to like a bluer color. Actually, Pearl, these are your shoes. What size kicks you wear? What color shoes would you like to wear while you're here? Okay. Forgets everything I know about color theory. Chef's choice then? Got it. I've had shoes with all kinds of different colors, come to think of it. Yeah, that's fine. Actually, yeah, this kind of dark brick red would work pretty good for the shoes. Well, no. You know what? I might have been onto nothing. Never mind. I do... Well, you know what? You can't go wrong with black sneakers. Oh, actually, hang on. That looks kind of nice with the... Hang on. Okay. Okay, this also needs to be like a bright color, so maybe... I don't know, could we use the same yellow here? No. Ah, that orange shade is really good. Maybe... Huh. Okay, this could work, actually. Or maybe some kind of blue. Or maybe just white. Yeah, I think it's gonna be just white again. There has to be a better way, though. Like, maybe... not quite. This could be something, actually. Hang on. But yeah, I've worn a lot of different kind of shoe colors. I remember that for a while when I was like, I think in middle school. I was definitely one of those kids who only ever wore one pair of shoes everywhere. I didn't understand the appeal of having different sets of shoes for different occasions until I was like in my late teens, which is kind of embarrassing, but you know, I got there eventually, thank God. But actually, I also had a pair of Chuck Taylors that were this exact same color at one point. Okay, I have a most ingenious plan. I am going to select the color gamut for these shoes. And I'm going to play around with the hue and saturation of them until I am satisfied with their color. Ooh, wait, hang on. Okay, this, but also we reverse the dark parts and the light parts. No, actually just a solid dark gray is fine, I think. Yeah, that lines up pretty well with the rest of the color scheme. Okay. We should be ready to move on to the coloring phase. Or the shading phase, rather. But yeah, one pair of shoes that I will never forget that I owned were these extremely obnoxiously neon green running shoes. I think they were Nikes, honestly, that I had, I think, in like my last year of middle school. And I detested those fucking things. I kept wearing like my old pair of shoes instead of wearing my nice new shoes just because I hated their colors so much. But like they were, I think they were like one of the only shoes that I liked the way that they fit on my foot, and like they were in my size because I had like huge feet, right? Like my feet are fairly massive. Shout out to my brother who always used to call me Hobbit, who once joked, he didn't always used to call me this. He once joked that I had Hobbit feet, and I think that's fairly valid. That's an accurate description. Hey. God bless my brother. He was a really funny guy. He's currently going through some stuff at a busy period in his work, but I hope he's doing okay. I hope he gets through it safely. Let's see. Here's hoping. Yeah, I think everybody could use a little bit of that energy right now. Now that summer's over, the kind of seasonal transition doldrums have arrived. And those can be a little bit difficult to deal with. Some stuff is picking up over at my work too, so I'm sure everybody's... I don't know, it does feel like shit starts picking up kind of at the end of the summertime a lot. Yeah, we're moving into fall. 2026 does not feel like a real year. I don't know, I said this last year too, when like 2024 was a really like big number for a year to be, but it felt real. 2025 and 2026, you know, don't even get me started on 2027. None of these sound like real years. I don't think humanity was supposed to make it this far. I think we kind of failed upwards somehow. My brain still thinks it's 2024, 9 months in. Honestly, same. I don't know. My sense of time... I was going through a lot of shit back in 2023 due to some administrative issues. Not really anything emotionally for me, but like definitely some administrative issues occurred. And I think like that's kind of the year that my brain got hard stuck. I think that's why I was able to accept 2024, but I haven't been able to accept 2025 and 2026. I really gotta get my shit together and start scheduling more collabs and events and whatnot for closer to the year end, because I feel like if I don't do that, I will like kind of start withering a little bit. It's no secret that I'm not a fan of the wintertime. The day is getting shorter. It's a lot to deal with for me. Well, I'm sure it's a lot to deal with for a lot of other people too. But I want to try to stay motivated outside of that, and I feel like a good way to do that is to just have fun with people and not let it get me down. You know how sometimes you kind of have to force yourself to have fun a little bit? Like you're like, all right. You know what? I'm in a crummy mood. Let's just like lighten up a little, see where the day takes us. That's genuinely just how it is sometimes. You do just have to kind of let go of this bitterness and try to have a good time. And what pisses me off is that it actually works for me. Like, genuinely, I'll be, like, seething about something, and I'll be like, you know what? I don't need to be mad about this. And then I won't be mad about it, and I'll feel so much better, and I'll get almost a little bit pissed off at myself for it being that easy. I don't know what kind of level of emotional management this is. I don't know if you could call that emotional management. I don't know if that's healthy. I don't know if that's normal. I don't know, maybe it just means that I've never had anything to be truly upset about. Well, I guess that's a good thing if that is the case. $2024, 9 months in. What was I doing back then? I think I was starting a tax course or something. Yeah, I was still in my current job, but I was starting some tax work and some tax courses as an extracurricular activity. Okay. And then like this. I don't know. Does anybody have stuff that they're looking forward to for the end of the year or closer to the end of the year? I know I have a convention happening in my town that's not too far off. It's not close, but it's not too far off. So that's something that I've been looking forward to a lot and trying to make preparations for. I'm not tabling for it or anything, but I'd still like to try to make the most of the time. Oh yeah, that actually reminds me, I'm gonna get my top wisdom teeth pulled out this year. The dentist was really nonchalant about it. He was like, "Oh yeah, no, the top ones are super easy. The bottom ones are the ones that usually have the problems, and it looks like you've already had those yanked out. So yeah, we can do both of them at once if you'd like." I was like, "Cool. That sounds like it's gonna hurt, but you know what? I like efficiency. I appreciate the gusto." So I guess that's gonna happen. Gonna need to prepare. He said to prepare some protein drinks. That the way he described the fucking process of taking out the wisdom top teeth is crazy to me as somebody who has at least had his bottom teeth taken out. I swear to God they took out my top teeth at some point. I swear to God they took out my top teeth at some point, and somehow they grew back. But he said that that's very unlikely and would mean that I'm some manner of mutant beyond what I've recognized up until this point. That's the thing. He was like, he didn't say like you won't be able to enjoy solid food for a couple of weeks. He was like, yeah, no, you should be good after like a couple days. I feel like you're being a little optimistic there, pal. But you know what? I'm not the one with the fucking diploma on my wall. And the way he described, I want you to understand that I was like worried, right? Because I had only had like one specific experience with some teeth. I remember there being sutures. I remember there being like injections to my throat, which hurt a lot. I remember it being very unpleasant. And I was like, so what exactly is like the process like? And he kind of like sits down and it's like, well, we would give you like the numbing agent like we did today for your fillings. We would kind of get some forceps in there and start applying some force, and then we'd use some tools to kind of, squeeze it out. And he said this very calmly. I'm like, wait, so there's no, like, you wouldn't need sutures or anything? And he's like, oh, no. They're so far back that we would actually have trouble getting sutures in there. So what we're going to do is that we have, like, a couple of, like, gel plugs that we use to patch up the holes while you recover. And this is also at the point where he told me about the protein drinks. And I'm like, hang on, what? You're gonna do some fucking Popeye the Sailor Boat Man shit to my gums? They didn't even give me the injections. They just knocked me the fuck out. That's the thing. He did say that, like, if I wanted to get knocked out for the procedure, I would have to be... if I wanted to get knocked out for the procedure, I would have to do it at a different clinic, and that sounded like a pain in the ass. So I was like, you know what? If we can do it, and I have like the minimal amount of discomfort, like if I like barely feel it, if it's like the fillings that we did today, and I barely feel it, you know what? Let's fucking do it. I don't know. I think it's important to experience a certain degree of pain every now and again. Running up a really big hill, overexerting yourself on the treadmill, lifting something that's too heavy, but like you lift it anyway. I don't know, it creates this very mortal feeling that I think is really valuable and cool. God. I've never actually been that. I should have actually probably tried to ask for the knockout stuff though. I feel like this is gonna be like my last opportunity before it's like some serious shit. I feel like if it's for just like the wisdom teeth, I can do it in like a low stakes environment where if like they fuck up the knockout gas, I'm still pretty numb in some ways or another. And it's like I've time traveled or some shit. That's what everybody says, that like when you get knocked out, it's like time travel. Was that your experience with it as well, Cypress? Was that, like, did you feel like you time traveled once they gave you the knockout shit? Oh yeah, absolutely. Nice! That's awesome. God. I went in there at 8 a.m. and did not wake up until like 11. Whew! Hell of a nap. I don't imagine it was very relaxing, but that's still... I don't know. How did you feel? Like, do you remember how you felt about that? Like, what was the emotion? I feel like I would feel very conflicted about how that felt. I don't know. I feel so nervous about things that'll make me feel like I lose my internal clock. Like, if I get up to some random shit that like takes me 3 hours and I don't even notice, I fucking get scared. I genuinely become somewhat frightened of my own circumstances. I was hungry, but all I had to say to me was applesauce and soup. That sucks. I will say, it's going to be nice finally getting some more use out of my blender after the brief period I had to go on a liquid diet. I don't know, I feel like it's going to be good for me going back to an all-slop diet for a couple weeks. I'm on a slop cleanse. Slop maxing for real. Recently I found out, okay, so there are these. Hang on. You've probably seen them in a whole bunch of different. Oh, I really like how that looks for the shading. I'll have to look into that some more. Anyway, hang on. Corporate. Hang on. All right, so there are. So everybody knows about grain bowls, right? These are like you can get these at like Chipotle or, at like a bunch of different fast casual restaurants, right? Hang on, let me pull up the actual web browser source so y'all can see. So these are grain bowls. Usually they have a lot of vegetables, a protein in it or two, some kind of grain, as the name indicates, whether that's barley, quinoa. I prefer rice for what I hope is an obvious reason. I found the other day that apparently the corporate lingo for these is slop bowls. Oh god, they've got like Brussels sprouts and arugula in there. That shit looks good as hell, actually. Seriously, they hang on. I remember the place I read this from. Hang on. Here we go. Fast casuals bowls are losing to casual restaurants and Taco Bell. All eyes are on Cracker Barrel's epic rebrand failure, but the buffet chain isn't the only restaurant floundering. Slop bowls, once a staple of corporate lunches, are out. Slop bowls, according to Business Insider, is an unappealing name for the bowls full of greens, rice, protein, and vegetables typically served by fast casual chains like Chipotle, Cava, and Sweetgreen. Such restaurants are experiencing slipping sales and stock, while once forgotten restaurants like Chili's and even select fast food spots like Taco Bell are doing well. Why? Bowls have gotten increasingly expensive. The price of Chipotle's chicken bowl has increased nearly 45% since 2019 to $11. Meanwhile, Cava's grain bowl has increased to 24% by 24% to $12.25. At the same time, Chili's 3 for Me meal offers guests a beverage, appetizer, and entree starting at $10.99. And Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl has been $13.99 since 2022. As fast casual meals creep closer to parity, it seems many diners prefer nicer, sit-down, full-service experiences. Yeah, like if you consider $11, right, compared to like $12.25, and it's like a beverage, appetizer, and an entree, that's like a pretty good deal. And the never-ending pasta bowl speaks for itself. Fast casual's appeal is often that customers can get something healthier than a Big Mac at a decent value and without wasting much time. But Chipotle has faced backlash from customers who claim it started skimping on portions, while its fast food counterpart, Taco Bell, surged in popularity thanks to an ever-changing menu of affordable, limited edition items. Seeking Alpha called Sweetgreen a minefield of disappointments. That's a crazy phrase. Amid falling sales and consumer pushback regarding higher prices and claims of smaller portions. Despite attempts to lure customer backs with a 25% increase in chicken and tofu scoops, updated recipes, and a new summer menu. 25% increase in scoops. It's fucking dire out here. The worst part is that they really are quite good. There was a place that used to serve these kinds of bowls way back when I started working for my job. They very sadly closed down sometime in, I think it was like 2013, I think? And not 2013, 2023. My bad. But yeah, they closed down sometime in 2023. And it was only until recently that the spots they occupied was closed. A new place has taken it over. It's some kind of like catering chain that has set down a brick and mortar store. And they have brought back the slop bowls. And let me tell you, they are pretty good, and they are also pricey again. I didn't remember the price being this bad back when it was the old team, but maybe that's why they got shut down. I don't know. The thing is that like going out to eat feels like such a strange balancing act. Like you want to eat healthy enough. Like there is a very accessible Tim Hortons near where I'm at, but I feel like the more I eat there, the paler I become. Genuinely, I feel like I'm losing like a little bit of my tanness every time I like get myself a double. May this way I can bypass the citizenship test. Under my administration, if you can clear away a full 15-course Tim Hortons meal, you're automatically admitted into the country with full honors. You have diplomatic immunity if you can pack it away in less than 30 minutes. God. Honest to God, I hope I never have to run a country. Honest to God, I hope I never have to run a country. Please, God, never let me run a country. I beseech you. Never make me run a country. I don't think I'd be bad at it necessarily, but I wouldn't have fun. This is how we get a World Sim game stream. God. The monkey's paw curls yet again. Was that one Europa Universalis, I think, or was it Crusader Kings? I remember there was like a fairly popular game that is sort of World Sim like. God. Just imagining some politician tuning into my World Sim game stream and being like, "Alright, wise guy, why don't you take a crack at it if you think you're so good?" Crusader Kings is stupid popular if you want to do medieval shit. I'm not opposed to medieval shit. I have a neutral stance towards medieval shit, quite frankly. Not necessarily pro or anti. I don't know. Really funny to think of a person who is like completely anti-medieval shit, though. Like the concept of somebody who is completely anti-medieval shit. Some dude who looks at like literally like that one fucking comic that's like, I hate every person, I loathe every person I see on the street. Just look at that stupid asshole. And it has like an arrow pointing to like a knight in in plate armor being like normal guy. Have you seen that comic? Hang on. Where is it? It's a really good representation. Here it is. I loathe every person I see on the street. Look at that stupid asshole. Normal guy. The guy who hates knights and medieval shit and dragons. It's so weird to me. I cannot. There has to exist somebody like this. But I cannot, for the life of me, imagine a single person who could hate on dragons, like conceptually. Like there are people who might not care for dragons. There are people who don't necessarily think that dragons are that cool. But I cannot, for the life of me, imagine somebody being like a hater towards dragons. Like there's just something so unspeakably cool about dragons as a concept that is just. I don't know. If you don't fuck with dragons, I don't know how to help you. I don't understand what your problem is. You must have become twisted somewhere along your life path. I don't know how this happens to anybody. Like, what kind of messed up circumstances do you come from that you don't like dragons? That's what's really the driving question here for me. Let's see. And let's use this hatching brush to just kind of taper out the fur. Late to post, but Raph catching strays. God. We have to get Raph a W, like urgently. I feel like we've been ragging on her a little bit too much recently. Like they see the delight in it, but I'm a little bit worried about his mental health. Like, he would tell us if something was wrong, but like at the same time, it's like, I want to be nice to him. I want to be nicer to him. He makes it difficult sometimes, but I want to be nicer to him. Raph's gonna catch a personal W carrying our asses in deadlock. True! I don't know shit about MOBA games. Actually, I need to double check if I can actually play Deadlock. Like, I never actually... After we did that thing that he told us to do, I didn't check if I actually could download the game at all. Wait, no, it's like invite, right? Gonna press buttons and see what happens? That's just gonna be the way it has to be, I think. I saw how many pop-ups came up on the screen when she hovered her mouse over something. I'm not built for that life. Not wait, no, actually, no, wait, I remember they said that there were like whatchamacallit, like there were like almost like combo recipes but for items, weren't there? So thankfully we can rely on somebody else's efforts to guide our way to victory, it seems like. Yeah, there's builds you can copy? That's genuinely such a thoughtful thing to do. I don't know, I feel like that wouldn't fly in other MOBA games, but I feel like that's genuinely such a thoughtful quality of life improvement. Like, yeah, why shouldn't you just, like, keep going for your same loadout if you are going to consistently go for it? Why shouldn't you rely on other people's loadouts if you... Like, it's just streamlining it. It's the same reason why I really like combo recipes in video games, even though I barely lab them. For me, whenever I can... You can bet your ass that whenever I consult a combo recipe in a game like Guilty Gear or like in any fighting game generally, it's because it's like the equivalent of like somebody cramming for a test the night before it's the day of the test. Like, if I'm genuinely, like, labbing something or trying to find a combo recipe for something, that means I am in deep shit and I need, like, something to save my ass urgently. Which is probably not how you're supposed to use it. You're probably supposed to use it to, like, build your own knowledge base and kind of eventually pan out from there, but meh. I don't know. I invest a lot of my time into other things already. I feel like trying to add fighting games to that list of things that I invest significant time into is folly. I don't know. I reckon it's better until I wait until I'm motivated by revenge or something more substantial to begin my genuine fighting game phase. That's honestly the same approach that I've taken to, like, weightlifting and such. You know, I reckon that I'm gonna become one of those guys who gets like really into health and fitness in like their mid 30s or early 40s. Fast becoming top one in Strive 2.0 will do this. God willing, Faust becomes top one. I want to see what it's gonna be like. I want to see the chaos that's gonna ensue. I want to see people get pissed off at the random item drops. I want to like Five Nights at Freddy's style jump scare somebody with a PRC scarecrow. There has to be a way to accomplish some thuggery with my guy Noodle Master the Long-Armed. The way I can see buffing him this way is that he does the item toss. You can hold a button to choose what item comes out. Oh, that would be... Yeah, I guess there would be a couple of ways to balance that as well, though. I was worried that I was going to be like, that's probably not going to happen because there's like no way to balance, like, what happens if you do the meteor? Is that like a jackpot one or like... But you could also make it so that the meteor just takes longer to whip out. Something like that. I don't know, there's a couple of different things they can do. David talked a lot about like his doors and what he could do with them back in XR and such. So maybe they're gonna bring that back in some way. You know, so if they are also getting a story update, my guy, the wacky inflatable tube man might be able to clutch some manner of recuperation of his capabilities. I don't think it's likely, though. I don't know. There's something very cursed about the phrase Faust in top one. I just don't... I feel like it might not happen. Parentheses. He is intentionally downplaying before it's even a possibility to ensure maximum potential for Faust buffs. My capability to push for agendas in fighting games is something that needs to be studied. Like, normally I'm not a guy with, like, agendas at all, but I will fucking slander whoever the fuck, slander myself, downplay, upplay, call myself the GOAT, whatever. I have no honor when it comes to bullshitting about fighting game shit. I feel like I'm genuinely... I go into, like, Super Saiyan 3 whenever I'm, like, talking fighting game bullshit in particular. Instead of, like, getting longer hair, my nose starts growing like Pinocchio. I've never been so invested in stuff like power levels or anything in like manga. Very easy to talk fighting game bullshit, right? It's just fun to think about. I don't know. I think I never got into like power scaling and agenda pushing for like manga and anime because well, first of all, I'm not really into that so much anymore. I just read whatever I want whenever. So like I don't keep up with like weekly shonen releases anymore, except for Chainsaw Man. And let's be honest, nobody's power scale bullshitting Chainsaw Man. But yeah, for fighting games, I think it's very easy because I feel like you can very easily get that very real hatred that a lot of agenda posting involves. Okay. Chainsaw Man works on such a weird level where its power system only works in its own universe, like you can't bring other factors into it. Yeah. The thing as well, I think, is like the Fujimoto writing style is so power level agnostic. Like, I feel like because there's never been like any like, oh yeah, you know, like in fucking Jujutsu Kaisen they have like the special grade bullshit, right? Or like in Dragon Ball they have power levels, or like, you know, people fight frequently enough that it's like a measurable thing. But in Chainsaw Man, it's really just Fujimoto is fucking around with the characters until they achieve the narrative goal that he wanted. Or like they do something really funny and insane. I think because people have long since accepted this, that's why there's like the only kind of real agenda posting that goes on in Chainsaw Man is whenever there's an opportunity to slander Katana Man. It's really funny. Like, you know how I keep saying the phrase, I can feel it in the wind? I got that shit from somebody saying that Katana Man, they felt like Katana Man was gonna die again. Fascinating series. I hope Fujimoto keeps writing, because I honestly don't think anybody's doing it like him. For better and for worse, nobody is doing it like this guy. Alright, that seems pretty good. Time to find some manner of background for her. You, my friend, the squirrel, the one who balls and is also a squirrel. Or actually, you know what? There is still a little bit to do. Just an teensy tiny little bit to do. Right here with the tail. It's looking a little bit unshaded compared to the rest of the drawing. Yeah, that's all we needed. Okay, public domain image archive seems to be a good place. The public domain image archive worked last time, so we might as well check that out. I don't know. What if we just look up squirrel? What kind of hits will that get us? Oh. Wait, no, check this one out. Oh, this one's really good. What is this? Circa 1700. Colored engraving depicting a squirrel on a tree branch. But yeah, look at the fucking proboscis that this thing has. John Gould's Mammals of Australia. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. What the dog doing? Oh, this one's cute, though. Mainland booty, presumed extinct. Alright, what else? How is this one a squirrel? Why is fucking Ramiel from... Wait, no, the squirrel's right there. What the fuck? Scrap concept for Ice Age 5. Where Scrat has to fight the fucking angels from Evangelion. My cube... Actually, no, this isn't a cube. It's like a... I guess this would be a tetrahedron or something? Oh, Ice Age 5 is real? Shit, is there an Ice Age 6? What about an Ice Age 7? How far do the Ice Ages go up? I'll just have to do N+1 Ice Ages. Also, I think this one looks really cool. Ice Age 6 in 2020. They're gonna release it? Bummer. Hang on, which one's this about? Edward Joseph d'Alton's illustration of animal skeletons, 1821 to 1838. Oh! Oh, this is a treasure trove. You know what? I never thought about like what a camel's bones would look like, but this makes a lot of sense. Oh, I don't like how fucked up its neck bones look. What's this one, a line? Yeah, it seems that way. This is so handy though. This is like a really good resource. Yo, the seal. Or no, wait, the bone structure of this suggests that it's like one of those. Well, no, I guess seals are like the big family, aren't they? But yeah, I think squirrel skeleton is the way to go. Yeah, I like this one. That way it also creates a nice kind of curvature with the eye and everything. The squirrel skeleton is appropriate. I will say nothing on this matter. I'm glad you like it. That being said, I have an idea for how to make this more interesting. We do need it to cover the entire. The thing is that like it would work best if we could fit it vertically, but that's not. Or actually, hang on, there is a way. Wait! I feel like I've just had a genuine genius moment. Hang on. Okay, we're going to turn this one into the halftone layer. Okay, we're gonna rasterize this. Convert brightness to opacity. Imagining the b-ball cord is just a big squirrel skeleton picture. You know what? I don't think... There are those, like, tables that have, like, resin skeletons or something, aren't there? We could do something like that. I am surprised nobody has tried to make, like, a full resin basketball court. But yeah, hang on. I need to... There's gonna... This is going to require a little bit of handiwork. Where is the gradient erase? Or actually, maybe we can get away with it without relying on the gradient erase. We could move the squirrel in question a little bit to the left. No, we'd have to say it this way, but we could... Okay. So to clarify what I'm planning to do, I'm going to add a color overlay to each layer. And hopefully, that's going to look good. If it does not, we will take more drastic measures at that point in time. What do you do when you walk into a college's indoor basketball court and you realize that their floor is a giant squirrel skeleton entombed in the floor? Just a dinosaur-sized squirrel. I'd play ball. I would play ball like my life depended on it. That shit would be like a Super Mario Strikers charge stage. It is interesting that... Oh wait, it's still in darken, isn't it? Okay, and then we're going to put this one up with maybe like a brighter version of this color. Honestly, nothing would get me to lock into a sport more than knowing that there's like a cool place to play it within easy reach. That being said, I am still struggling to kind of connect the colors here, but we'll find a way. What we need to have is faith in our abilities. Okay, we should make this one like this bluer color, maybe. Okay, maybe not. What I am thinking is that what we could do... Yeah, no, darker colors definitely suited more. But then they stack over each other in a weird way. Hang on, we might have to start over on this a little bit. Or maybe we're just, hang on. Maybe we're looking at this the wrong way. Maybe what we can do is go bigger. It's a little hard to tell that this is a squirrel now, but... Do you see the vision? Do you see what I'm going for? It's a little bit tough to fit in properly, but we can make it. We might have to get rid of the sparkle, though, and that does break my heart, but sacrifices are necessary sometimes in the pursuit of great things. Okay, and then oops. Put the sparkle on the other side of the head. You're a genius, Ryan. Never let anybody tell you otherwise. Oh, yeah. Okay. So now the question is... Well, actually, no, there's not really a question. We just need to gradient erase the background so that it's stable like this. Maybe putting it a little bit closer? Nah, where it was before is fine. Or maybe we can actually make the angle a little bit more extreme and benefit from it that way? Not bad. Okay, now then. Oh, that looks really scrunkly. Which could work in our favor, depending on how we approach this. Cool. I don't know, I just feel like this kind of, like, risograph feel for the background would really fit the outfit that Cypress has, and also like the basketball thing she's doing. Okay, so let's look at the colors here. So we got orange and blue. So maybe a green or maybe like a light purple might be good for the background. What the? Hey, where did everything go? There we go. Hey, why weren't I talking? We're in my mental... we briefly took a trip to my mental world. Okay. OBS might have had a mini crash, don't worry about it. Actually, I think it might... You know what? Looking at my keyboard, I think what might have happened is that I tried to do like Alt-Tab or something. And I think I might have fat-fingered the Windows key to show my desktop, and I think that's why everything flipped the fuck out. You know what? I'm betting that we can probably put this as a thing here. Maybe more like this. I don't know what this is doing, honestly. But I'm willing to try looking into different versions of it. Honestly, this isn't so bad. I think we can, if we can maybe futz around a little with the gradient map. I hadn't thought about like more yellow, but it kind of fits. Let's see. Black and white is also pretty good. Oh shit, this one's really... I'm really liking this one. That is a strong contender. Oh, but the squirrel skeleton looks really good with this one. It really looks a lot like a chromatic aberration. Wait, I'm an idiot. I could just do that with a normal squirrel skeleton. What am I doing? Hang on. Go back to the one that looked really good. Why am I fucking around? Why am I fucking around with... Hang on. I know exactly what I have to do. Convert brightness to opacity, filter, blur, or no, I think it's like effect, right? Chromatic aberration. Radial, maybe lateral? Actually, wait, where is this radiating out from? May limit the intensity a little bit. I do know that there is like a thermography effect that might be really good for this. But that only... Hang on. Maybe I need to already apply a color to this layer. Or you know what else it might be? Hang on. Rasterized. Then we try the chromatic aberration. If I can remember where it is on the menu. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're going to hit the bottom part with a gradient again, so we can get rid of this part here. Why isn't it working? Oh no, it is working, hang on. Yeah, I think that got rid of it, but then we also need... I don't know, maybe we can futz around with the color on this one just to make it more... Okay, how does it look like without this thing again? Okay. Maybe a little bit more like... It is at points like this when I'm really futzing around with the colors where I feel like I feel like I need to have like goggles on or something. I feel like a mad scientist whenever I start to struggle with the gradient mapping and whatnot. But it does create some very interesting imagery, like this one. Holy shit, the really dark pink background looks sick though. I don't know, there's a lot of good options. I feel like we have to keep the high saturation though. I feel like that's imperative. Maybe we can just introduce a different color to the bottom here. So maybe instead of like that bright orange, we can go for something like this purple? Oh wait, I know why it's not doing this properly. It's because I've got this opacity set to low. Man, it's so difficult picking our team mascot. There's like 5 different wildcats in the area. What other beast can we choose? Anyway, what team are we going with up against today? The Spectral Squirrels. The Squirrel Spectrals, or like the Spectral Squirrels, would genuinely be a badass team name. I'm just imagining some freshman kid like tearing out their hair, being like, last week we had to fight the fucking Buccaneer Bandicoots, and this week we're fighting the fucking Spectral Squirrels? Why is our team the only one in the regionals who doesn't have a fucking stand? What are we doing wrong? I'm already eating so much protein. Kind of enamored by the concept of the freshman in question thinking that they're the problem. Oh my god, she's bowling? That's right. She's going to hoop and scoring. Hi Zed. How you doing? Oh, I really like how graffiti the bottom area of this looks like this. That being said, there's still like this one little... Hang on. We can fix this. Good, I'm eating fries to celebrate being Hollow Knight. You fucking beat the game? You're a crazy person. That's terrifying. What the hell? Nine hours straight. You have worked your ass off. You enjoy your fucking fries. You have more than earned them. Congratulations on your hard work. I guess good looking out. Congratulations on being able to play Silk Song soon, I guess. Final time was 16 hours, which is 10 less than the average time. Jesus Christ. Speed Demon. But yeah, no, that is... You need to like, you should like get a plaque from Team Cherry or something for that. Good work. Okay, and then... It's so hard to connect the shadows to the feet here. A full hour of the stream was spent actually screaming because of the boss that's just 6 dudes. Getting the text about going up against the spectral scrolls popping up like it's Metal Gear Solid 5. God. Spectral scrolls would be a good alternative to the Diamond Dogs. That would actually be very thematically perfect as a rival company. Especially annoying because I beat the final boss in 10 minutes on my 3rd try. That's nuts. Hang on. How do I get this particular leg? Oh wait, I know. I have a liquefy tool. What am I doing? You know what? It's gonna be less troublesome if I just make the shadow normally at this point. I think the fucked up thing about Hollow Knight is that most enemies are just not prepared for you to pogo off their heads non-stop. God. Listen, fact, there is no defense against a buglet pogo attack. Okay, we're going to put... Reading these like you're talking about Hong Kong. I mean, honestly, I do think the average martial artist in Hong Kong is also unprepared for the pogo strat. There is no counter to a dude bouncing on a Beatles style? God! Every Common Rider kick finisher! Hollow Knight dares to ask the truly bold questions in life, which is, what if a Common Rider could do the multi-bounce from Paper Mario? Okay, then this one over here is gonna... It's gotta flatten that out a little bit. I think contrast is probably a better tool for this. What happens if I make it darker, though? I mean, that's pretty good. What we could do is use... What if the Hell Brothers could chain that shit? God. We do need to use the soft eraser a little bit on the basketball shadow, but other than that, I think if we also... Hang on. If we also give Cypress a little bit of an outline up top here. Hang on. I've got an idea for how to do this. Okay, so we're going to merge the selected layers, copy that, undo the merge, and then we're going to add the stroke effect. And actually, we could just like lower Cypress down just a little bit. Okay. So we're going to rasterize that, and then we're going to use the gradient erase and a combination, actually. A combination of the gradient erase for the bottom half. And then we're also going to use the liquify tool again to shrink it into where the lines can no longer be seen. Also, I might have been a little bit too aggressive with the... Hang on. And actually what we could do, hang on, just fully fill this out white. But yeah, do you feel more fulfilled now as a gamer? Is that now that you finished Hollow Knight? I don't know. I feel like and the overwhelming feeling that I'm getting is that I was very late to the party of the game, but I do feel glad that I'm experiencing it now, even if it is, you know, fairly late to the party. Okay, and then we're going to increase the brush size a little bit just so we can have maybe a couple of like extra scratchy sections up here. Again, I really like the kind of rough look that a lot of the sharp colors kind of gives the piece. Honestly, I spent so long putting off playing Hollow Knight that it just feels a bit bad to be rushing a good-ass game just for the sequel. I can see that. Honestly, I do think that seeing how people are rushing through it, I do think that my strategy is just gonna be like, I'm gonna keep Silk Song out of my mind so I don't need to be playing it immediately on release. I do hearing you say that, I do think it might be a better strategy to take my sweet time with the game and really let it breathe, like a fine wine. But yeah, I'm guessing a lot of people are probably in the same boat as you. Delay Silk Song in your mind and it'll be fine. Listen, I have gotten through so much time in so many different circumstances just putting off something that's supposed to be like the super hot new thing for years. Silk Song's just another one in a long line of things that I'm not going to be interested in until it's the right time. Listen, when I started playing Hollow Knight, Silk Song release date dropped. I need to give Team Cherry at least a few more years, and that way, when I start playing Silk Song, they'll announce whatever new project they've got cooking. They are tuned to my cycles. I need to grant them mercy. That being said, I do think we're pretty well and done here. Actually, maybe we can do a little bit of shading on the spikes on the jacket too. Third game is set in the world of Hollow Knight with detailed color in the first adventures. God. What if we get like a straight up game like... Remember that one game that's like Captain Toad's Treasure Quest or something like that? What if we get something like that, but it's just featuring Cornifer? And maybe Zelda if we're lucky. They should make a new game called Whole Wizard. The Whole Wizard in this economy? Are you nuts? God. Hollow Knight, Whole Wizard, and World Half Full Rogue. You know what? Actually, no. We could do half full Rogue and half empty Cleric, and that'll really round out the traditional RPG character class grouping. Okay. Okay, now I think... God, every time I say I think we're good, it's like I find something new to tinker with. Alright, I think now we're good. Wait, no, the fucking... we can also do something with the line art. That needs to be a lot more saturated. Whole Wizard does sound like a way you would roast something. You know how like they have like whole roasted turkey? I do feel like you could probably whole roast a wizard. The wizard wouldn't appreciate it, but fuck him. Blue doesn't seem like a bad one. Kind of went crazy with this piece. I'm liking a lot of like the directions of the colors and everything. Might need to just lower the luminosity a little bit. Or actually, we could try and do the trick with... Hang on. So we're going to blur this. Then we're going to hit it with a brightness and contrast adjustment. That's pretty good. Yeah, all right, let's go with this then. All right, I think that's gonna do it for today. Is anybody streaming right now? Not particularly. All right. Well, in that case, I will let everybody go. Thank you all for the conversation. It was really lovely talking with you. Pearl, good luck tomorrow with your endurance stream. I hope you have a great time, and I'll try to tune in as soon as I can get back from work. And yes, please enjoy your evening. Thank you very much for stopping by.